Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing one of a trio of highly luminous Panerai watches launched for the 2020 model year. Made in titanium in 270 pieces, this is the Panerai Luminor Marina DMLS PAM 1117. The DMLS stands for Direct Metal Laser Sintering, a 3D printing-like process that explains the texture and tone of the case. And this watch was arguably the flagship of the trio thanks to its extraordinary 70-year warranty. So let's start with the basics, how it fits. It is titanium, so it's fairly light. 44 millimeters in diameter, 14.3 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 53.8 millimeters with a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 14 centimeters circumference plus 2 for 16 total, and you'll find that this 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears it pretty well. It's a big watch, make no mistake, and at almost 54 millimeters of lug to lug, you're gonna have to be sort of comfortable with the encroachment of the lugs on the edge of your wrist, but if you're comfortable with that style, the fit is comfortable ergonomically, and I actually think a Panerai watch that's a bit too big is the correct aesthetic for one of these. So as long as you are an outgoing fellow and you've got a personality to match, wear this on a 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Anything larger than that will probably look more proportional, but 16 is good to go ergonomically and aesthetically. Taking a quick look at the strap, the first thing I should assure you of is that we do have the factory strap with the watch. It's in the box, it's with the papers and the accessories, because this watch's phenomenal use of Luminova extended to the stitching of the strap. So keep in mind, you will get that. You are also going to get this brand new Panerai factory strap when you buy the watch. So textile across the top, dark blue, a little bit of stuffing or bolstering to give it volume. We've got a folded edge. We've got calf skin on the bottom, a brand new Panerai factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. We have a matching trapezoidal satin finished titanium pin buckle. This is not fabricated by 3D printing, and you could see in the textures and the tones of the buckle that it is a different traditional fabrication method. And like the fixture of the strap to the case, fixing the strap to the buckle uses screws and bars for absolute security. There have been some Panerai watches recently, really more and more of them since 2015, that have used spring bars. I don't like to see that. This is more secure, more upscale. It's what Paneristi expect, and if you are that kind of guy, you've already got the jeweler's screwdrivers at home to get right to strap swapping. And again, 24 millimeter Panerai strap. There is a universe of OEM and aftermarket options, including full custom. New strap, new watch. You will have no problem cycling through and changing the aesthetic. Just remember, the fully loomed factory strap comes with the watch. I've given away part of the game with the lume, so let's just jump straight to the lume shot here. Okay, so the dial, the chaptering around the dial, the crown insert, the top of the crown guard, and the profile of the crown guard. In fact, just to be clear what it is that's actually loomed here, the lever for locking the crown is itself luminescent, and it looks really cool. The dial's fully loomed, including all three hands, all of the tri-Arabic numerals, the indices, even the logo and the company name. So this is a rather extraordinary watch. I'll turn it over just to assure you there's nothing you're missing on the backside. But the strap will loom to match with the stitching luminous when you put it on the original factory strap. Now, you can see that this is a 3D printed case, for a process very, very similar, where you have direct metal laser sintering, which means little particles of titanium are aggregated and welded in real time using a laser welder. So this is an additive process that's effectively printing a three-dimensional structure, which is why it has this slightly coarse texture characteristic of that type of fabrication. Now, this is what would have been called once upon a time the 1950 case that debuted on the PAM 127 back in 2002. So you can see it's not the straight rectangular, boxy Betterini case that you know from the 90s. This is a little bit more fluid. It's the case that's derived more directly from the 1950s 6152 combat watch. This is the world's most distinctive crown guard. You know what brand and you know what model line. I don't even think with a Rolex crown guard you could tell that much from this angle with so much covered. What I love here is that it is still practical and purposeful. First of all, it's a design icon, but what happens if your crown guard watch gets hit perpendicular to the crown? Well, that's why it's nice to have this full crescent guard. It protects you from that kind of head-on blow. Also, it's hard to accidentally jump in the water with your crown unlocked. A threaded crown that's screwed out a few turns, that can easily be missed. This is harder to miss. Also, this lever with a little tab that you can dig with your nails, it's easy for me because I have to manicure my nails for these videos, but if your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved, this crown is much easier to unlock for use than if you had a screw-down crown, which can get very tight and fixed. Also, it doesn't wear out the crown seals since it just compresses and decompresses them. This device was originally designed, yes, to give the crown more protection, but back in the combat watch era, all of these Panerai watches would have been powered by first Rolex Codebert 618s, and those were pocket watch movements, and later Angelus SF240s, which were also pocket watch movements. They were all big and manual wind. So when Rolex made the cases, they used the Rolex Oyster Crown. So the people using these watches on an almost daily basis were screwing in and out to wind the watch, which was wearing down the seals. This system compresses and decompresses, which allows you to immediately wind and set the watch without having to thread it in or out, so you're not threading the stem structure through the seals. Now you see I have this ability to move the hour hand while everything else is static. This is great for traveling. I can jump the date forward or backwards depending on which direction I'm passing across the international date line. Though notice this is the latest Panerai P9010 movement, so it doesn't have hacking. Very matte finished. You can see on the dial, we have a radial sunburst grain from the center, and then we have hands that have a very fine granular gray finish that matches the case itself. Panerai sandwich dial, which means you have a stencil with all of the features, the numerals, the indices, the cutout for the subseconds, and then under that there is a solid disc of lume, and the lume that's used here is called Super Luminova X, so a new type of luminova that is even brighter, and you saw that to good effect. This is a spectacular watch in the dark. Now there's not a whole lot to see on the case back, so let's talk about this 70-year warranty. As far as I understand, there's nothing mechanically different about this movement from a standard P9010. It uses the same manufacturing processes, assembly, regulation, and synthetic lubricants. And while that should normally assure 10 years in between services, 7 decades is a long time. Based on the price of the watch, my belief is that Panerai simply factored in occasional warranty services into the price of the watch. So you pay that much more upfront, or at least the original owner did. And so Panerai will take a little hit in the long term on its profit margin when inevitably the watch needs a service. But for 70 years, you should get your warranty services for free. Now, the movement. It's an automatic winder with ceramic bearings for higher winding efficiency. You can see it's protected down to 300 meters, twin barrels in series for a nice even torque release and consistent balance amplitude across most of the 72-hour power reserve. 31 joules. It's a rugged movement that beats away at 4 hertz. It has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance against sports watch features. It's not beautifully finished, but it does get the job done, being tough, fairly long-legged with a 3-day power reserve, and effectively immune to service charges for longer than I will be alive. And probably you as well. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.